So the JK BMS comes with 7 gauge wires. 7 gauge is 10.6 square millimeter. So a 16 by 8 ring lock fits perfectly onto these cables. But it is actually a bit large. A lot of space. So 16 millimeter is not the right size. Even, I think, can't quite remember, but when we installed the first JK BMS here in the middle shelf, I think these are exactly the ring locks I've used, 16 millimeters. I probably used a 10 millimeter die to crimp them. But a 10 millimeter is a lot smaller. Look at this. And also they are super tiny, super thin in comparison to the ones I usually use. Heavy duty eBay. You know what? Because I'm feeling adventurous tonight, we are going with a tiny 10 millimeter ring lock from eBay. So if your cables are already looking like this here, I learned a good trick from my good old friend, the Gary from Scotland. Yeah, I've watched his channel, Gary's Half Naked Dreams of Battery. No, what's it called? Gary's Half Off-Grid Dreams. Gary's, hang on. Ah, that's the one. Gary's Half-Baked Off-Grid Dreams. Well, if you are tired of watching the Off-Grid Garage, have a look at his channel. So that is impossible to get in, because this is 10.6 square millimeter and this is just a 10 millimeter ring lock. But I learned this trick from Gary's channel here, and he's using one of these plastic coated wires here. Put this twice around your cable and then it breaks off, because this one is already shit. Twist it. Now you move this one forward all the way, I mean almost all the way. Put your ring lock on it and then push the ring lock back. Take off the wire. So, and now we have to make sure they're on the right position before we crimp them. So one needs to be from the top, while the other one needs to be from the bottom. So they can sit on top of each other on the terminal. Man, I haven't used all these tools here and the crimper for a while. Oh, it's so good to do real do-it-yourself stuff again. Guys, welcome back to the Off-Grid Garage here in. We have negative 32 amps outside. Well, it's yeah, it's a late night show. Yeah, if you are new to the channel, that's what I do. I work during the night, because then it's nice and cool down here in sunny hot Australia, and also I have enough time to get all these videos for all my different channels done. There is literally no time for sleeping. Well, and because we have all this trouble with JK at the moment and the inverter BMS, I thought, what better can I do than buying another JK BMS? See, this is the old style, but this is a special BMS I bought to replace the Heltec BMS here in the top compartment of my battery shelf. Yeah, the Heltec is really not great. It has some issues with balancing and the settings are very, very minimal only. The current measurement is off and they can't tell me how to calibrate it. And the main reason is I wanna install the third PIDA board as well. And I need another JK BMS for that, because this is a JK slave. And I thought, well, Andy, before you buy another JK BMS, buy another special JK BMS. Let me show you what I have. So we have here the BD6A20S10P. This is a 100 amp BMS. This is the 10. And the BD6A means it is a 6 amp active balancer. Yes, guys, this BMS has a 6 amp. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. There is no 6 amp active balancing with the JK BMSs. It is the smallest 100 amp BMS you can buy with an active balancer. It has a 0.6 amp active balancer. Yes, 600 milliamp of active balancing. And I was always curious if we actually need the 2 amp active balancing, or if a 0.6 amp active balancing would be enough to handle these 280 and 304 ampere hour batteries. So originally I wanted to install this 0.6 amp active balancer JK BMS in the top battery shelf here, because this is a 304 ampere hour. This is the biggest capacity I have. And I wanted to see if this small balance current is enough to keep this battery under control during normal usage. So it would be an easy thing to take the Heltec out and put the JK in, and we are done. But I have already installed the Peterboard master for this JK BMS here. So the master sits actually in the middle shelf at the moment, while the Overkill BMS here, which I will keep, has a JBD slave. So then we have slave, master, slave. This is from a pure wiring perspective. That's not great. The master should be at the end of this chain. So it should be actually at the bottom, because the Peterboard master has got the termination for the CAN bus. So it needs to be at the end of your bus. Then I would need to install this JK BMS here in the bottom shelf, including the Peter master, have the Overkill BMS in the middle shelf with a slave, and have the new JK BMS with another slave at the top shelf. But then I need to touch all three BMSes. Oh, I like this red. So hence I thought we take the Overkill and put this back in the top shelf where it was from the beginning, and put the new JK BMS in the bottom shelf. So this is only a 280 amp hour battery, not a 304 amp hour battery, but I think it's good enough. If the JK with 0.6 amp active balancing can handle a 280 amp hour battery, it surely can handle a 304 amp hour battery as well, right? That should work. Because then I can leave the old JK BMS here as it is. I just have to replace the master with a slave Peterboard. Does this all make sense to you, with all the master and slave and up and down and middle and top and JK and JBD? Yeah. Let's get started. Okay, we are done now. We have prepared the JK BMS. I put some 8 by 10 millimeter ring locks on it. Some heat shrink so you can't see how many strands I actually have missed. And look at all these tools we have used so far. As always, guys, the links for these tools are under the video and on my website as well, including the scissors. So we are taking off the glass front here. Isolate the battery first. Take out all the balance leads and the communication cable for the display and RS485, I think it is. I never could get the Heltec BMS to work with the RS485 and the serial driver from, what was this guy's name? Yeah, the serial battery driver from Louis van der Wel. Well, if you haven't seen the video, I'll link this down below as well. I basically showed how to connect the Dali BMS and the JK and the JBD via RS485 to the Victron system. It worked. But never with the Heltec BMS. What size is that? 13? Yes. And here comes the BMS. Yeah, that's how easy we can replace the BMS in the battery shelf. Well, if you haven't seen the old videos yet, we have installed a double bus bar on both sides. So one connects to the negative of the battery and the other one goes to the main circuit breaker of this battery bank. And the second stud here is where the BMS connects to. So we can just take off these two nuts here and then remove the BMS very quickly. And we also have installed these amazing double pole terminal blocks here. Connected all my balance cables on one side. They are going to all the battery cells with a 5 amp fuse in between. And the other side goes to the BMS. And we also have the opportunity to connect an active balancer cable harness, if we want to the second port of the double terminals. And this has come in very handy so far. You just need a small screwdriver and push down these orange buttons here and then the cable releases very quickly. Oh, look at this. That feels like a fresh new start. Oh, this is all nice and clean. Beautiful. So, Heltec BMS gone. And now we need the... I'm still a bit unsure. Okay, and now we take the 100 amp Overkill BMS and put it back in the top shelf. where we have installed it 2 years ago. This BMS here is actually a donation from the Digital Mermaid from Canada, because she's now using all these crappy JK BMSs and didn't want this one anymore. So she sent it over to me for testing purposes, and we are still testing it. It's good. It is still working here in the battery shelf and never missed a beat. Well, the balancing is not the best. And if you haven't watched her channel yet, I'll link it down below as well. Because Maddie is such a wonderful and well-organized person, she has put labels on all the balance cables of the Overkill Solar BMS. I just need to put cable number 1 into my port number 1, cable number 2 into 2, and number 3 into... Write your answer in the comment section to win the Heltec BMS. Okay, everything is reconnected for the Overkill BMS. And let's turn it on and see what happens. I've got 3, 2, 1. Okay. Do we have a... there's no light. Nothing. No. Is it on or not? Hello? Let's have a look in the app. Overkill BMS. It is alive. We've got the blue light. Because this BMS comes with 3 temperature sensors. And I don't know... And number 3 goes into our circuit breaker. This one is number 2. And this one goes in between our battery row. So it measures the temperature of our top battery. And the third one, I'm not sure what I do with the third one. Maybe I connect this one to our bus bar. So we can have a main bus bar temperature. How cool is that? Okay, battery negative, torqued. Breaker negative, torqued. This is all good. Okay, let's turn it back on. Let's see how much current we are getting. It was off for half an hour now. 28 amps only. Look at this. That's all. All right. Then we take out the main bus bar cover. Oh, geez. I haven't taken this off for 2 years here. Wow. And then we connect this temperature sensor to the bus bar. Wie soll ich denn das machen, Freunde? Okay, done. So I connected the temperature sensor to the negative bus bar under the heat shrink on the back side. Now we've got a BMS S. It is so cool, you can rename all these temperature sensors here in the Overkill BMS. So I've got BMS, battery, bus bar and breaker now. How cool is that? So, and now we are going to install the new JK BMS in the bottom shelf here, and starting with the balance cables and connect them to the terminal block. So I actually took a couple of minutes and labeled all my balance cables as well now. Thanks, Maddie, for making me a better person. So, and the last port of our terminal block here is number 16, which is cell number 16 and also the main positive of the BMS or the battery. So there needs to be 2 cables going into this one port. Okay, making sure they're all... And because this is a 20S BMS, I have 4 balance cables left. So they are not connected at all. Then after swapping a BMS, always measure the balance cables so they are in the right order. If they are not in the right order, the BMS will have a very short life and you will spend many tears that day. So take these few extra minutes. Oh, we got one. No connection there. This is number... See, these balance cables, they are stripped only for about 2 millimeters or so, and sometimes this is not enough to get proper contact in these terminals. So I stripped them for another 2 millimeters or so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we now have proper voltage of 19 volts. Yeah, perfect. So before we install the new JK BMS in the battery shelf, I want to connect all the accessory cables for the main switch, for example, and also for the 2 external temperature sensors, which go up here. And of course the micro JST connector to the GPS port of the BMS. Go. Because this will later connect to the PIDA board. So, all the cables are in. We just need to connect the balance cables now, turn it on and hope for the best. Alright, I have now connected the BMS to our battery negative and also on the breaker negative. And it is now time to plug in the balance cables and see if the BMS starts up. So that's the big moment. You want to start with the white connector first, which also has the black cable. This is our battery negative. Alright. Balance cables are in. Nothing has happened so far, that's good. I think they made these cables here shorter than the old BMSs. It just doesn't sit as nice as the other JK in the middle shelf. Okay, I have to have a look at this. It looks a bit... That doesn't look good. Alright, let's press the button and see what happens. Here we go. Let's have a look in the app. Yeah, there it is, the BD6A20S10P. Click to view all alarms. Cell count is not or equal to settings. Modify password in time. Thanks. Okay, first thing we want to do, I want to rename this beast. Okay. Please restart the software. Okay. Scan. Battery number 2, battery number 3. Perfect. Okay, let's have a look if all the battery cells are correctly reporting in. Yep, that all looks good to me. And we can also see that we have a soak 100% voltage. So we can set actually a reset voltage here in the BMS when it goes back to 100%. So you don't need to hit the over voltage protection anymore. You just need to hit this voltage here to reset to 100%. And the same for the 0%. You can set a low voltage where it shows 0%. Okay, let's click the lithium iron phosphate button first up here. And then we have to start again because it resets everything. Yeah, the JK BMS is very good in resetting. 16,280. Balance start voltage. 3.45. Okay. Maximum balance current. 0.6 amps. That's all we can do. Over voltage protection 6.5, 3.45. Then we are at 100%. Recovery 0.6. Under voltage protection recovery, that's fine. We can set this one to 2.7. And 0%. Yeah, we can leave this at 2.6, that's fine. Under voltage protection 2.5. There should be an error now because we have to change the power off to 2.49. And now we can set the under voltage protection to 2.5. Discharge current 100 amps. This is the maximum the BMS can. I'll leave all the delays as they are. Continuous charge current 100 amps. Okay, JK has still not learned that we cannot charge a battery under 0 degrees. Error, because this one needs to be on 5. Alright, everything else seems to be okay. We can turn on charge, turn on discharge, and turn on the circuit breaker. And see, modify password, okay. Turn on the breaker. 20 amps only. That's all. The battery was turned off for 1.5 hours now. And it discharges with less than 20 amps into the other two batteries. That's how good lithium iron phosphate is, right? I wish I could modify the cycle count here because 0 is not correct. Okay, this is the old JK BMS. It looks a bit different. And we also don't have these additional settings for setting the BMS or resetting the BMS to 100% and 0%. This is only available in the newer versions of these BMSs now. Alright, nice. This is basically everything we need to do for the moment. Everything has worked out fine. Yeah, I still need to organize these cables a bit. Balance cables are nice as they are. So guys, please, when you do work like this, do some cable beautification. Get yourself Get yourself some Velcro and organize your cables. You know, it looks so much better. It also makes it a lot easier if you need to troubleshoot something, and the cables are all nice and organized. So cable beautification, Velcro is your friend. I'll link this all down below as always. If I see this on YouTube when other people build batteries and the cabling looks like the Australian bushland, I cannot watch this. I literally have to stop watching this video. I cannot watch this. So do yourself and me a favor and beautify your cabling, or ND2 will haunt you in your dreams. Okay guys, I think that's it for tonight. It is after 11 PM or something. So we've now successfully moved the Overkill BMS from the bottom shelf to the top shelf again and installed the new JK BMS with 600 milliamp active balance current in the bottom shelf here, connected to a 280 ampere hour 16S battery. So I'm really keen to see if this BMS now performs well enough and keep this battery balanced. Well guys, in the next video we just need to connect the Peter boards to all our BMSs here, configure them and set this all up in Victron as well, which shouldn't take long. Well, it shouldn't take long to swap these BMSs here, but it took me like 3 hours now to install all this, organize the cables and record it on video as well. Anyway guys, I call it a night. As always, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for all your amazing support here on the channel. Thank you very much for all your donations. It continues in 2024 as well. And until the next video guys, when we do the Peter thingy here again, you stay charged, stay safe, and thanks again for watching. See you then. Bye bye. Well, and don't forget to put the right answer in the comments to win this beautiful Heltec BMS. It's the best. Well, that's what they're saying.